There we go. Hey, look, it's Heron Breen, Scott.
Hey, reporting from up here in Maine. We're in the midst of our nor'easter here, getting our 1 to 3 inches an hour. So if my quality fluctuates, give me a whatever with the 40-mile-an-hour winds. But thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you.
I know this is sort of a bit of a speed round, and I've been asked to kind of communicate why I'm here in about 10 minutes. So folks, if you're feeling like you're not getting the full picture, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. I've been speaking with Nagisa and Devin, as well as a number of the other folks in the multi-state NOFAs, so folks all the way from New Hampshire down to New Jersey. Why I'm here today is I want to share with you that I've recently transitioned from my role as at Fedco. I was basically the person for the last decade or so or more that was in charge of organizing and evaluating our field trials. And in Maine, it's a wonderful thing. We have these wonderful farmers that we collaborate and with. Then actually our trials are sited on different people's farms, and I go and visit these and see some amazing things throughout the summer, looking at up to 600 different varieties or more of vegetables and flowers through a season. What I've done in the last couple of months is I've come to the NOFA New York, NOFA New Jersey, NOFA Mass, NOFA, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut folks, and asked them to consider organizing a farmer-led, community-built multi-NOFA trialing network that is supported or could be supported by our wonderful researchers in the university and cooperative extension level, as well as folks in the seed industry. The goal of this is multifold. Why is it important? There's a couple different reasons. Number one, I'm following up on, honestly, what Garrett Grady Lovelace actually left us off with, which is this idea of community-led and community practitioners. We often in the farming community don't see ourselves as part of a community. We see ourselves kind of one-to-one on the challenges of our farm. But when it comes to what we're dealing with in terms of weather changes, pest changes, disease changes, there's a whole gamut of microclimates throughout the entire Northeast, where our seed choices and our practice choices are often basically left to either our own perspectives, the advice of our neighbors, and the choices that we have available to us in the seed catalogs. But what we're experiencing in the seed industry, let me explain this a little bit, is that a number of the older varieties that we all rely upon as farmers and gardeners, there's a huge turnover in those both hybrids and open pollinated varieties, which means a number of the varieties that we've all relied upon are being dropped from seed production. This is partly because in the greater plant breeding universe, we're not a place that people are breeding for the most part, for those performances and diseases that we need. For the most part, those things are being bred for what's considered global production regions, like California, like Turkey, other places like that. So when we do trials in the Northeast as a seed company, I'm sifting through this whole pool of things to find the 1 out of 100 things that might work for farmers. Now in Maine, when I find this thing that works for farmers that I think is looking great for me, I don't have a broad trial network to be able to know how it performs for you in New Jersey or in the different microclimates that you all, different soil types, different disease and temperature pressures that you're all experiencing, and then through up to the seaboard. And so just from a perspective of working in the seed trade, there's really no way to create that type of real good choice system for everybody unless we're all participating in these answers together. So this idea of these evolving variety changes, it's not just the old varieties that are changing, it's also that there's a whole bunch of new varieties that have come in, and those new varieties are what they're calling turning over way faster. So rather than a variety having a 20 or 30 year legacy in the trade where you can get used to working with it, we're seeing a variety turnover of 3 to 8 years, which basically leaves many farmers wondering, what do I do next? So that's one answer. One reason why this trialing network is important is to address our seed choices. Another aspect of this is basically the organic seed rule. So when we're in the certified organic sphere, we're dealing with reality that organic seed, while many of us are still trying to understand what that is, organic seed is an organic farm product. So folks like me and other folks grow organic seed. And just as you would say, hey, if there's a soup on the shelf that says organic, and they said, hey, it's all organic except we couldn't find enough organic carrots, but we're still going to call it organic, you'd say, hey, go get some more organic carrots. So those of us who are farming organic seed hoping to supply our comrades in the community of gardeners and farmers, this seed rule is going to become more and more strict, where folks are going to have to acknowledge that seed itself is an organic implement, into the farm itself, and maybe even on the farm itself in terms of seed saving. But overall, we're looking at the seed rule becoming more, I guess, strict in the choices of how we access organic seed. So companies are trying to solve those issues, but our particular issues for our region means that we have to find the right organic seeds for us, the right varieties that work in each of our regions, and be able to share that with each other in a network of farmers who are experiencing these things throughout the United States, throughout the Eastern Seaboard. The element of this that's really important is creating a unified version of a variance. So if we all have done some research together and discovered that there isn't a really good organic option at this time in a particular crop, to be able to use that as for all farmers to be able to say, hey, there's a bunch of really involved community research that shows that there's not a really good alternative to this particular, say, sun gold tomato. And that is a justifiable reason to continue to use sun gold tomato. So the concept of this is to create this network. We also create sort of uniform variances throughout the certifiers to understand that this is valuable community research that's being guided and led, we're trying to find good organic seed choices, but also allows us to say, hey, this isn't been identified yet, and gives breeders and seed companies the understanding that this is the boundary that needs to be breached. There's another aspect of this, which is basically training a community of growers throughout the Eastern Seaboard to work with university researchers and breeders so that we are all speaking the same language, that they're speaking our language and that we're speaking their language. And this is everything from timing to practices. So many plant breeders and researchers who are doing trials throughout the Eastern Seaboard would love to have 50 or 100 farmers that they knew throughout the Eastern Seaboard were interested in and had been trained and understood what was at stake and the practices, but also that these researchers and plant breeders also were understanding what the farmers were saying and the practices that they're using, and also the choices that folks are having challenges with. So an integrated conversation, we're all part of the same community, solves for more solutions. The last part of this that I find, really inspiring is, the climate change element, where so many of us are seeing different diseases, different pests, different climate stresses, and we're having to seek our practices change, and we're seeking answers. And some of my answers are coming from farmers in, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and some of your answers may be coming from those of us elsewhere. So we're really experiencing in our different humid environments, like a lot of different challenges that say aren't the same as, say, the Southeast, or not the same as California, not the same in each soil type. And so this idea of using community-led science to help fund multiple grants to where farmers are involved in this research means that, and also not just farmers, but many of the grants that I've been working on recently have gardeners as well as farmers in our intertribal communities involved in the grants, and creating a level of both equity and respect and recognition across the spectrum of folks involved is really a way of saying, like, this element of how we interact with our climate isn't a fight, it's a system of care. And so we care about the future, and basically making sure that climate change is something that is uniformly community work across both, farmers, gardeners of all, colors and all spectrums. We have so many folks in our community that have joined us in the last 20 years from other countries, immigrant farmers, who are, many of them are actually bringing the skills that could actually help us solve what we're facing, as well as the indigenous wisdom that, is also super important, that basically we're not taking, but we're part of, and we're welcoming, and we're also being respectful within a community of equals. So this basically way of reframing how we see research and how we see community is really important. So the overall concept is multiple NOFAs partnering together, farmers like yourselves choosing to step into this work to cite small trials on your farms and basically gain training and not actually compensation to do that work. And that those results are community shared, probably through a platform called Seed Linked. So I know I just gave you a big shotgun perspective, and this isn't the last time we're going to talk about it, but I wanted to just broach this with all of you, that these are the types of things that are being talked about on the multi-NOFA level and really should be being discussed in our farmer level and with our community researchers. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. And folks that are interested who are farmers and reaching out in the greater New Jersey area, please be in touch with me. I'll be working with Devin and other folks and also reaching out to your university researchers to kind of get their perspective, as well as folks like Nate that are doing this kind of work and leading this work in the region. So
Yep,
that's that.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And yeah, we've got Nate Kleinman waiting in the wings, as they say, to continue the seed discussion. Amazing seedsman. There he is. The beautiful Nate Kleinman, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Heron, thanks so much for that. And
wait, Nate, just one second.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that everybody knows that you've joined our board. So thank you so much for joining the NOFA New Jersey board. We're delighted to have you. And thank you very much for all you've done. I'm probably most people know, but Nate is quite embedded in this seed community. And so when it comes to the speakers for Winter Conference, Nate often helps us, and he introduced us to Garrett, Winona, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're so lucky that he's involved in our Winter Conference planning. So thank you very much, Nate, for your help on Winter Conference and also for joining the board. Welcome.
Thanks, Nagisa. Thank you so much. And thanks to the whole team, Scott and Tony and Devin and everybody working behind the scenes. So I'm going to, and yeah, it's an absolute honor to be sharing the same Zoom with the folks we've had already and the folks who are yet to come today. So, all right, I'm going to do a quick 10-15 minute overview of some of the work that I'm doing here in New Jersey. My organization, Experimental Farm Network, is coordinating, and some of the other organizations, and just sort of talk about my perspective on this seed sovereignty issue. And a lot of it ties into some of the things that both Winona and Garrett and Heron were talking about. I'm going to share my screen and show you a few things. So I'm again Nate Kleinman. I'm here in Elmer, which is Nanticoke, Lenape country here in South Jersey, Salem County. This is my organization's website, Experimental Farm Network, and we started in 2013 with the intention of facilitating collaboration on plant breeding projects with a real focus on developing perennial crops for climate change mitigation. As we've grown, we've focused a lot of our efforts on building a nonprofit seed company. And as Garrett mentioned, one of the things that we do quite a lot of is getting seeds out of the government seed bank system and into use, and not just into use by researchers, and but to rematriate those seeds, to return those seeds to the communities where they came from, to people who are descended from the people who developed those plants, those crop plants from wild plants, from those crop wild relatives. And so our page here has a number of different projects. Some of them are ones that we initiated. Some of them are ones that anybody, people out in the world initiate. Anyone can create a profile on this page and create a project. So we're working on, I'm talking tomorrow about beach plums, which is a crop that's indigenous to New Jersey. And we're talking about a number of other crops. And here, of course, I've got this rainbow circle of death here. I wanted to talk about a couple of the breeding projects that we don't even have on this site yet, but that we expect to be active soon. This is our seed store site, and we have a number of projects going, but two that I'm pretty excited about first are this Ultra Cross Okra, where Chris Smith of the Utopian Seed Project, who wrote a book called The Whole Okra, which won the James Beard Award a few years ago, is he planted 100 different okras around in the same place in North Carolina. 85 of them produced seed, and he collected seed from all of those that had crossed together in the field potentially, and are being sold as one composite population, which represents a really immense amount of diversity for breeding new varieties of okra. A similar project is the Ultra Cross Okra Collard project, also from Utopian Seed Project. It's really exciting. This has 21 collard varieties together, all working together. One of the ones that we've been working on for years now, led by Chris Homanix, who's a plant breeder out in Oregon, is this Homesteader's Kaleidoscopic Perennial Kale Grex. It's got a long name for a really cool population of plants. These are from years of bringing the most best tasting perennial kales all together to ultimately produce a reliably perennial kale that is that tastes good, that is pest and disease resistant, that will come back year after year, and that will also produce seeds reliably, so that people can continue breeding and adapting for their local community. You can see some of these are just beastly plants. This is a bush that's probably 4 or 5 feet tall, 6 or 7 feet wide. One kale plant that persists year after year after year. And we really believe that these perennial plants are critical for climate change mitigation. We need to get away from this constant tilling the soil. Every time you till the soil, you're releasing carbon into the atmosphere, destroying the soil microbiome. And then let's see, another, oh yeah, I wanted to click on this one. We also have this Hablitzia, is a really cool plant that Fedco is also selling seeds for this. A number of other companies have started to. It's a perennial, closely related to spinach and amaranth, and very, very, very cold hardy. This is something that many, many more of us should be growing and eating and working with. I wanted to dip into to show you real quickly this what the Grin collection looks like. Any of you who are doing breeding work, if you are trying to do research on particular species, this is where you go to get access to all of these government seeds that Garrett mentioned, that are in the collections in Fort Collins, in Ames, Iowa, and Griffin, Georgia, and Corvallis, Oregon, anywhere that we have, anywhere that our government is storing these seeds. So you go to this ars-grin.gov site. You can click on plant, animal, or microbial. We're going to click on plant germplasm. Just give you a quick taste of how this works. You make a profile. Right now, if I had been logged in, you'd see I have 280 things currently in my cart because I'm preparing a request for some more seeds. But I did this before. Just, you know, we're in New Jersey. We're at the NOFA New Jersey conference. So I'm just going to type in New Jersey and give you a little glimpse of what kind of diversity exists in the system. So the entries have keywords throughout them. The species name is listed at the top and all the pertinent information. And then this one, this is loading, but it'll be up in a second. There's probably more than 500 items. So this is just going to show us the first 500. Hopefully, but while it's loading, perhaps I'll move on and come back to it. Okay, here we go. So 139 things. The first few that come up is Ceanothus americanus. That's a native perennial known as New Jersey tea. Um, here's a potato, Ami, that was donated from Maine. May have some New Jersey heritage. Let's click on Harley Blackwell. See what this tells us. So once you click on something and you're in the entry for that species, if you want to request this, you can get 3 in vitro little baby potato plants that have been cultivated in test tubes to make sure they're free of disease when they distribute them. And then you click on this passport one. This was developed in Maine, donated by somebody in Maryland, and here's the whole history of it. Explains where this was the release of this Harley Blackwell potato, white netted skinned variety suitable for chipping, medium maturing, tubers are round, resistant to certain golden nematode and other pests. This was the result of a collaboration between the Agricultural Research Service in North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, and Maine. So that's why New Jersey is in it. So that's just a little taste. And perhaps the most useful part for researchers is this observation tab. If you click on that, you can get all sorts of information on what is here. This one has only been apparently, they've only mentioned that there's a couple of these things here. So you can click on skin color primary for potatoes, and then say you are interested in potatoes that are different from the standard white, yellow, or red potatoes. Here's where you can find, oh, here's one with orange, 13 of them. Here, there are 14 with pink skin, 27 purple, etc. And there's probably more than that have not been part of this evaluation. Anyway, if people want to know more about that, I have given some longer form talks on that that are available on YouTube, and happy to talk to folks one-on-one too. But as I mentioned, we do a lot of returning these seeds to the communities where they came from. The last couple of years, I've been working with folks in Maryland who are starting a new cooperative called the Ujamaa Cooperative Farming Alliance that Garrett also mentioned. This is their website, ujamaseeds.com. And there's a focus on African seeds, but also seeds from other cultures around the world. And it's a really beautiful website. Some really cool seeds. There's going to be a catalog update in February, probably mid-February, on the Ujamaa seed catalog and also on the EFN catalog. We kind of were scrambling to get everything up in January when people were ready, but we have a bunch of seeds that weren't quite ready for the page, but will be pretty soon. And then also I wanted to highlight for folks who only got to hear him speak in the beginning, Chief Man and clan mother Michaeline run the Muncie Three Sisters Medicinal Farm in North Jersey in Ramapo country. And we're working with them as well on providing seeds. And they're doing really, really beautiful work up there. And I urge you to all visit their site, muncie3sisters.org, to learn more about them. And the last one I wanted to just highlight, because she came and spoke at the NOFA conference a couple of years ago, is the Palestine Heirloom Seed Library, which EFN is also working closely with to help preserve seeds from Palestine. We have a few that we're offering in the catalog this year to raise funds for the seed library, and that's Vivian Sansor, who's the founder and is a great friend of mine. This is a really wonderful organization. But as Garrett highlighted, traditional seeds are under threat around the world, and we have this vast storehouse in this country of seeds that are not, for the most part, getting back to the people from whom they came, and yet the government has repatriation, they call it. We tend to call it rematriation to honor the role of women in seed saving in most traditional cultures. Our government says that if you have a legitimate research, breeding, educational, or repatriation purpose, that they are obligated to send us seeds when we request them. They will often push back, especially now in the days of COVID, when they are extra short-handed. They've been really hamstrung by budget cuts, but now COVID has left them with even more staffing shortages. They're obligated to send us these seeds, and it's the government's role to distribute these to anyone who has a legitimate research, breeding, educational, or repatriation purpose. They might push back and say this: we don't send things out for home use. If you respond to their form letter with explaining why you need that particular variety, that it's not currently commercially available, they should send you the seeds. And through the years, I have received thousands of seeds from the government and distributed them to people all over the world, including returning Syrian seeds to Syrian refugees in a refugee camp in Lebanon, and seeds to folks in Puerto Rico after the hurricane there, and others. So
All right, well, we're gonna
that's my
tag back in.
quick version.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, partnering with NOFA in your application for getting seeds is always it's always helpful to have another institution along with you when you're asking for seeds from those federal organizations or from those big banks.
Absolutely. I've been told if you have a .com email address, that your requests now go into an automatic reject pile, and you have to fight them to get any seeds. So if you have a .org or a .edu email address that you can use, or you can borrow one from a friend, that's apparently become necessary.
So those Nate's seed saving presentation is in last year's winter conference file, which you can find all the videos for last year, and you will be able to find the videos for this year on NOFA-NJ's YouTube video. It'll be all one playlist. 2021 includes Nate's presentation from last year, and this year we'll have our new collection of videos. Okay. And also, I should just mention that Devin has really worked hard to make sure that all the slide presentations are posted on the site as well. So they're actually going to be on NOFA-NJ.org. So if you're wondering if you had to take, I should have said this earlier, you've probably had to take copious notes already. I mean, I don't know who would have been able to take the notes for Garrett's presentation, but if you write it a mile a minute, you probably can do that. Anyway, now I want to introduce the folks from High Mowing and Vedco and Johnny's, who have been very patiently waiting. What we really, there's so many things we miss about having an in-person conference, but not the least of which is actually stopping at every table during the lunch break and eating the delicious lunch and then going to talk to our various partners and seeds is one of the joys of the conference. I do want to mention that there has been some changing of the guard. We're very sorry that Paul Gallione from Johnny's has retired. But now we are so lucky to have a new regional salesperson. So Brandon's joining us. And then we also have folks joining us, I hope, from High Mowing and Vedco. Devin, do you want to spotlight everyone so they can introduce themselves?
We've got High Mowing spotlight, but no Brandon today.
Oh, no Brandon? Oh, that's too bad. Okay, so I think okay, so High Mowing, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
100%.
I will say, I will put in a little plug for High Mowing because they are 100% organic. It's so easy to shop their site and their catalog, because as a farmer, you can't go wrong as an organic farmer. You can just buy anything on their site. So I will give them that credit. As NOFA New Jersey, I do want everyone to realize that that is a real benefit of their site.
Thank you for that, Nagisa. It's true. It is nice to have a no-brainer sometimes in life. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle. I represent the Mid-Atlantic region, and that is you all. Really excited to be here today and hear the beautiful words from everyone. It's really enthusiastic, empowering, and I mean, everything that Heron said was incredible, insightful, and spot on. And yeah, the presentations are very moving, and it really you can feel the energy even though we're not together. And I always appreciate that when that's attainable in a virtual setting. Yeah, I just want to echo a little bit of what Heron said, which is that I think first and foremost, high mowing is here as a resource for growers, no matter what kind of growing that you're doing. I really want to act as a bridge for farmers and growers to hear what's happening in your region so that we can be able to respond to folks who are on the breeding side of things, so we can address issues that we're seeing in the field, address disease pressure, and of course hear how we can meet your needs. I feel like high mowing works really hard to not only represent open pollinated source seed, hybrid seeds, heirlooms, and also work with contract growers as well as some of the larger companies that are getting behind the organic movement. So if I'll put my information in the chat, and I really want to encourage everyone to reach out. I'm here as a resource for you. I'd love to hear about what you're doing and how I can help and serve. That is absolutely my goal. I don't know if anyone wants to add or ask questions or anything to that nature.
I think I just want to add, this is another shameless plug, but folks, if you haven't become a member, remember that if you are a member of NOFA New Jersey, you have a high mowing discount, you have a Johnny's discount, right? And in addition, I'll say for Fedco, folks should explore leveraging Jess Niederer's hub, because she does pass on the savings from participating in a hub. So if you, really leverage your network, even though it doesn't seem like a 5 or 10% discount can make a difference, it will make a huge difference over the course of a year with the significant investment in seeds that all our farmers make. So just my little plug. Okay, so Devin, do you want to take it away from here?
Sure. Give me 1 second to share my screen.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to step in and introduce our new executive director.
Yay.
Here, we'll go to this way. Add spotlight. We're removing high mowing. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. We'll order from you very shortly.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I will prep my brief presentation by saying I am not an expert, but I hope to be a good steward of NOFA and of this Community Food Security Roundtable. First off, thank you, Heron and Nate, for making me even more excited to go and spend all my money on seeds, what little cash I have left. And thanks for everybody for joining us at the conference. My head's spinning from all the great presentations, information, education so far. Again, Garrett, you really filled up a couple of notebooks. I feel so lucky to learn from everybody, work with all of you, true living legends within food and agriculture. So thank you, Nagisa, Vincent, Jim, Winona, Garrett, everyone to come. Tony and Scott, thank you for being the grease to this wheel. We couldn't do this conference without you. And folks, there's so much more behind the scenes that you don't see that they're really taking care of. And last but not least, thank you to the board for keeping NOFA, a continuously forward-moving, sustainable and organic focused organization in the Northeast. So about this Community Food Security Roundtable. I'm really excited and eager to steward all this fantastic work that Nagisa's done. You folks have no idea how effective she is behind the scenes and digging up resources and making sure that we can continue to succeed at our mission of improving organic, promoting organic, building new organic farmers and market channels and all that she does. So make sure if you see her, thank her, send her an email. She's done a great job to onboard me, and I really appreciate it. So most of you are familiar with NOFA. For those that aren't, for newcomers to this community, I'll provide a brief overview. NOFA was born in Vermont in the early 1970s from a desire to improve health, build community, and move away from harmful industrial ways of living. Since NOFA has supported farmers, gardeners, and consumers in myriad ways and has grown to become a coalition of 7 state chapters, currently all 7 chapters are collaborating, sharing information, and using our combined resources to strengthen organic and sustainable farming throughout the entire northeastern United States. We really want to move forward together as a unit so we can, share our strengths and become a driving force for change throughout the entire country, not just a little pocket up there where it's cold. So introducing food deserts. When we're talking about the farm share, I want to talk about food deserts and community food security first. Typically, food deserts are associated with urban areas, but that's certainly not always the case. The New Jersey Economic Development Authority defines them as physically contiguous areas in the state in which residents have limited access to nutritious foods, such as fresh fruits and vegetables, through supermarkets and grocery stores. Food deserts are scattered in all areas of the country and include rural, semi-rural, suburban, and urban areas. So it's not just a city-based problem. Recently, the NJEDA proposed a draft list of food deserts for the state, and they're all over: north, south, east, west, central. A handful are in my home county, Atlantic County, Pleasantville, Atlantic City. It's not fun to see. There's some in Hunterdon County here, High Bridge, but they use several metrics to gauge the food deserts and rank them accordingly. It's not good to be ranked high, of course. They use household demographics, the food retail environment, economic factors, health factors, community factors like access to vehicles and pedestrian walkways. Sometimes a combined lack of vehicle access and a lack of grocery stores can designate a community of any means into being a food desert. So you can see the rankings on this list. I'll make this available. If you haven't already checked out the map, it's good to see the map and just get a visual interpretation of where all of these food deserts are.
Yeah, Devin, I think Janine is on the phone, and Janine, thank you so much for distributing this information to the community. But we're definitely trying to share it as well, because our project is somewhat connected to the food desert situations.
And another fantastic bit of news is the Food Desert Relief Act, I believe it is, which is giving millions and millions of dollars in tax credits to help businesses open and sustain in food deserts, like retail grocery stores and supermarkets, to actually bring food to people, instead of having to drive 10 miles or so to just buy your dinner. So community food security is another term that's been going around a lot more lately. It's kind of an old term. It's in vogue now as we realize how important it actually is, and that it's an all-encompassing idea. Multiple definitions of community food security. I found one that really works, and it came from a couple of folks in our home state here from Rutgers. 2 Rutgers alumni devised this thorough definition of community food security as a situation in which all community residents obtain a safe, culturally acceptable, nutritionally adequate diet through a sustainable food system that maximizes community self-reliance and social justice. The need for community food security is undeniable, and I'd like to especially add an emphasis to the sustainable element of their definition. Without it being sustainable, it's not possible to be secure. And I believe that we'll never have true food security in New Jersey until New Jersey can feed New Jersey, fuel New Jersey, clothe New Jersey, and nourish the diverse communities within our state without relying on imported goods from across the country and the world. In order to be secure, we have to be able to take care of our own. And that's what I'm really excited about working on with NOFA New Jersey. So with all that in mind, I'll introduce the FMPP. It's one program in the midst of the USDA Agricultural Marketing Service, and it funds projects that develop, coordinate, and expand direct access markets in order to increase the capacity of the markets. So increase the amount of business farmers can do, to increase the people they reach, the total amount of fresh local food that's available. And they also work on technical assistance projects. geared more towards technical support for capacity building projects. If I'm missing anything, it's because, again, I'm not an expert, just trying to be a good steward. So in this FMPP project, Northeast Community Farm Share, it's really exciting. All the NOFA chapters are working together, and we're being led by the Vermont chapter, who's had a farm share project for numerous years. So we're all increasing community food security in the Northeast. The goal of the farm share is to support and grow CSA farmers, increase the access to CSA shares within our communities, sustain long-term training and tools to continue to increase community food security. The project is based on the successful NOFA Vermont farm share. To put it simply, NOFA plans on raising 25% of a CSA membership's costs, if not more. If we can raise more, that's even better. We'll ask the farmer and their community to raise an additional 25%. So at the end of the day, membership's made more accessible to those with limited means or communities that would not be able to afford it. They get a half off CSA membership. If we can fully cover, that's great. If not, 50% will definitely take us somewhere. So this ensures that the farmer benefits by growing their CSA size, by growing their farm, their community, maybe getting them into additional markets. Community benefits from increased access to fresh foods. Hopefully, that spreads like wildfire. And on the whole, we increase capacity for local food production, which is our goal. So with NOFA New Jersey, I preface the introduction to food deserts and community food security because NOFA New Jersey hopes to bring these discounted CSA shares into food insecure areas. We'll look to organizations that we've worked with in the past, like Isles, Crops, so on and so forth, who are already collaborating and reaching folks living in food deserts and community food insecure areas. We'll aim to partner with farms working in and around those areas. We're also planning on exploring creative solutions to further the accessibility and affordability of these memberships. For example, exploring the potential of utilizing SNAP, WIC, Double Bucks funds, finding additional sponsors for these programs and such. So any kind of creative solution we have to get more CSA shares into the hands of folks who don't have access to them for whatever the reason, I'm interested in exploring. I know Nagisa is interested in exploring, and the rest of the board will surely be interested in exploring. So that's where our community comes in. Go ahead, Nagisa.
Oh, Devin, I do want to point out that it's actually NOFA Connecticut that's the lead. But what we're really not saying explicitly here, which is a fact, we did win quite a sizable grant working with NOFA Connecticut, so the other 5 chapters can expand the program. So we actually have a bit of seed development funding. So if we can partner with some of the folks on the phone, that would be fantastic because we have the seed money to, well, it's not to buy seeds, but it's like the foundational money to start an operation and collaboration. And there frankly are many people on the phone that are much more knowledgeable than we are about the programs that can support it. So I'm hoping that this open invitation is heard by many and passed along as, something that we really care about, and we want to work with others to make this vision a reality.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this all as we go. So I definitely need your support, everybody. That's all I have to say. Reach out to NOFA info at NOFA-NJ.org. Call the number. We're looking to partner with farms, like Nagisa said, community organizations, anyone working within the food system to help us reach our goals of increasing, local food access through CSA farm shares.
Thank you, Devin. Thanks very much. This is really exciting programs that we've got coming up. At this point, I think we're ready to give everybody a little bit of an extended break for 15 minutes or so. You get that plate of food ready so that you're well fueled for the afternoon. If you get back to us a little early, I strongly recommend that you peruse what has been going on in the chat. There's a lot of great discussion, too much for us to cover. Much of it even amongst you all, much as if we were in the halls of the conference. So check out some of those conversations that are going on there. There's some good websites that have been posted in the chat. There's some great resources there. Again, thanks for your work, Devin, and we'll see you all in about 15 minutes.
Technology.